Greetings and welcome to Gripping Horror. In the serene waters of one of Malta's most picturesque bays, tragedy struck on January the 18th, 2020. Christine Gauci, a remarkable 35-year-old technical diver, scuba instructor, freediver, and Afghanistan veteran, met an untimely fate in the midst of what should have been another routine dive. The incident left many with unanswered questions, and the case grew even more perplexing after her long-time diving buddy, Arthur Costello, found himself confronting involuntary homicide charges subsequent to a comprehensive post-accident analysis conducted by the Maltese police. This is the story of the Gauci diving disaster of 2020. Born on September 3rd, 1985, Christine Gauci was a sincere, energetic, and adventurous woman. In 2005, she defied the odds by becoming the only female accepted into the elite armed forces of Malta. During recruitment, her path wasn't easy, as a knee injury sidelined her from basic training. But that didn't dampen her spirit. After her recovery, Christine's determination led her to complete the recruitment. But her sights were set higher. She dreamt of serving in the British Army. She succeeded after a grueling 6-month selection process in the UK and excelled in basic training, specialising in air defence. Her training journey took her to the Minden Battery, 12th Regiment, Royal Artillery, where she honed her skills, being promoted as a Lance Bombardier. From there, Christine was deployed to Afghanistan in 2011, where she earned the prestigious Afghanistan Medal on completion of her tour of duty. After deployment, she returned to her homeland, Malta, rejoining the Armed Forces of Malta in 2012. Christine faced new challenges, including responsibilities at Malta International Airport. Her training encompassed searches on female personnel and vehicles, VIP protection, and rapid response to aircraft accidents. But Christine's ambitions didn't stop there. With a passion for sports diving, she harbored a strong desire to pursue a career in underwater bomb disposal. Eager to combine her love for diving with her dedication to handling delicate military tasks, she eagerly enrolled in the rigorous B3 diver course offered by the Explosive and Ordnance Depot. Her ultimate aspiration was to make history as the first female member of the esteemed EOD unit, proudly serving her nation beneath Maltese waters. This determination and dedication mirrored the spirit of Malta itself, a nation with a population of about 500,000 people, formed by two main islands, the larger island of Malta and smaller Gozo. Each has its own unique charms. The bigger island is more developed and boasts a greater number of attractions, while Gozo offers a more relaxed and natural feel. The dive took place at Mangar Exini, which is situated on the south of Gozo. Access to the quaint fjord-like bay is through a long windy road, starting near a farm between Zukija and Sanit and overlooking the valley. Dive vehicles can be conveniently parked at the water's edge, enhancing the accessibility of Mangar Exini as a favoured and easily reachable dive site in Gozo. The bay slopes down gently to 6, 10, 14 and eventually 17 metres, where it leads to the open sea to the south and to the tar sink outlet to the west. Notably, the bay features two small ocean caverns on its right side that is often visited by divers. In the crisp morning air of January the 18th, 2020, Arthur met up with Christine and the rest of the team, composed of 4 other divers, as they prepared to dive the picturesque bay. Christine had admitted to Arthur that she had been awake for 20 hours preceding the dive, due to a long work shift. For that reason, Arthur's girlfriend had attempted to talk her out of doing the dive, but Christine dismissed the suggestion, stating that the cold water would revitalise her senses. At around 8:30 a.m, the group set out, Arthur pairing up with Christine as diving buddies. Christine was equipped with open-circuit back-mounted doubles and a decompression tank of 50% oxygen. Arthur was diving closed-circuit rebreather. They incurred mandatory decompression on the approximate 28 meters or 92-foot dive. An expert witness stated that Christine was using a dry suit that was too big for her, causing it to trap too much air. The suit was also defective. It should be noted that Christine had not been trained on how to use a dry suit or maintain its buoyancy. Expert training is a necessity for using dry suits. They contribute far more frequently than any other item of dive equipment to uncontrolled ascents and resulting decompression sickness incidents. Using any unfamiliar equipment is an especially bad idea on technical decompression or overhead environment dives. The consequences of error are far more severe. During descent, Christine experienced buoyancy control issues that necessitated the intervention of Arthur. Between 16 to 18 meters depth, Arthur helped Christine deal with difficulties dumping gas. He suggested aborting the dive at that point, but she signaled to proceed with the dive. Subsequently, upon arriving at 28 meters depth, or 92 feet, Arthur again had to physically assist Christine by holding her down and releasing gas from her buoyancy control device. Buoyancy issues on descent should never be overlooked or disregarded. According to diving experts, insufficient weighting is never a problem that goes away during a dive. It only amplifies as more gas is consumed. During the bottom phase of the dive, Christine and Arthur entered a small underwater cave, which has no name. Within the cave, Christine's flipper became entangled in a discarded fishing net. Thankfully, Arthur assisted to help cut Christine free of the net. Again, when asked, she signaled an intention to continue the dive. Following exit from the cave, Arthur directed that they should ascend to a shallower depth for the return swim to shore. As they arrived at 15 meters, or 49 feet, Christine again suffered issues with positive buoyancy. Arthur donated 2 kilograms of his own weight to her, but that proved insufficient. He then found and gave her a heavy rock to hold. Again, when asked, Christine signaled her intention to continue the dive. Many divers, like Christine, often find themselves facing self-induced pressure to conduct dives, even when reasonable prudence screams that they shouldn't continue diving. Almost immediately after addressing her buoyancy issues, Christine experienced an uncontrolled ascent. Arthur was looking away when she lost control, but observed the rock he had given her plummet past him. Christine's uncontrolled ascent separated her from Arthur. He then ascended with the intention of completing a 2-minute mandatory decompression stop at 5 meters. However, that proved impossible due to him having donated 2 kilograms of weights to Christine shortly before. Experts who later checked Arthur's dive computer attested that a 2-minute deco obligation at 5 meters was never an impediment to seek a lost diving buddy. Once surfaced, Arthur spotted another diver exiting the water and wearing a dry suit of similar appearance to Christine's. He swam towards them, only to realize that it was not her. When he arrived on shore, another diver asked him about Christine, and they realized she had not yet returned. They waited 5 minutes, and then they called the 112 emergency number and started looking for her from land, and some others went back into the sea looking for her with masks and fins. According to an expert witness, the assumption that Christine was safe on the surface and swimming back to shore, when no such contact and reasoning was made between the two divers, proved to be highly significant, as this led to the omission of a timely rescue attempt during the critical initial minutes. Unfortunately, Christine was noticed to be floating face down by the shore, close to the Mgar Exini Tower. The divers who assisted her noted her to be unconscious, one of them confirming she was frothing from the mouth, with bloodshot eyes. At the same time when the divers arrived, an Armed Forces of Malta rigid-hulled inflatable boat had just arrived as well in response to the emergency call. They attempted to fill her dry suit with air to help getting her up in the rigid-hulled inflatable boat, but it was noted that there was no air left in her tanks. Christine's passing remained a mystery, as 3 potential factors came into play: insufficient weighting, gas depletion, and, as highlighted by expert witnesses during the trial, a cardiac arrhythmia might have triggered a sudden shortness of breath, compelling Christine to instinctively ascend rapidly to the surface in search of air. Despite several attempts by Arthur to help Christine during the dive, the magistrate of Gauci during the initial trial ruled that he had failed to provide appropriate assistance during the final part of the dive, leading to the judgment that he had involuntarily caused Christine's death through negligence. Arthur hadn't checked Christine's gas levels during the last 25 minutes of the dive. Arthur had observed Christine grasping her nitrox 50% decompression cylinder towards the end of the dive, but had not investigated that behaviour. Neither did she inform Arthur that she was low on gas, required gas to be shared, or implement a more timely immediate ascent. Buddy gas checks are one of the most essential, yet most neglected, protocols in diving. Divers know they should do them, but often just don't have the focus necessary to remember them frequently enough to be meaningful. In many cases, that can lead to significant cognitive overload. In such instances, divers such as Arthur might find themselves mentally strained or distracted during the dive, making it challenging to track time and receive the subconscious cue needed to complete routine tasks like gas checks. Arthur's conviction caused an outcry among the Maltese scuba diving community, who feared that the judgment set a precedent that would lead other divers to consider diving without buddies, and could potentially have a deleterious effect on Malta's dive tourism industry. During the trial, it was established that Christine had consumed 70 bars of her primary gas within the first 20 minutes of the dive, at a depth of only 10 meters. This indicated an incredibly high gas consumption rate. During the accident inquest, it was determined that Christine's primary cylinders were drained empty when she surfaced. Her additional deco gas stage was, however, full. Christine's gas consumption issue is an important example of why robust gas planning and management is critical. The speed of her gas consumption should have been a glaring warning to her and her buddy. However, on the 22nd of February 2023, the Court of Criminal Appeal cleared Arthur of criminal responsibility for Christine's death, ruling that he had done everything he could have reasonably been expected to do in the circumstances. In her ruling, Justice Concilio Schieri Herrera said that while the buddy system was used by divers to ensure assistance was available during a dive, it did not mean that divers are responsible for each other's actions. Justice Herrera ruled that Arthur had not been in any way negligent in his actions. The court also noted that, while Arthur had come to Christine's aid several times during the dive, had he tried to follow her during the final rapid ascent, there may have been 2 fatalities, not 1. Sculptor Carlo Spiteri Magri, the creative force behind Jezero Sand Art Studio in Halcami, crafted a mesmerizing bronze statue that immortalized Christine. This heartfelt tribute came to life and was unveiled on a very significant day, Friday, September the 3rd, which marked Christine's birthday. The statue now stands proudly before the very house in Victoria, Gozo, where Christine herself once grew up. Today, this transformed residence is known as Dar Christine, a haven of solace and support for children grappling with the painful challenges of parental alienation. Besides this monument, as a result of the initiative of our armed forces colleagues, there is another commemorative monument that has been placed on the seabed at Magar Exini, where Christine drowned. Christine's tragic death served as a bitter reminder that divers don't always get away with deviating from ideal judgments or the best practices that they were taught. May she rest in peace. This has been Gripping Horror. I hope to see you in the next one.